Hello, it's good to be with you again, and I very much appreciate you being here with me. As you know, this course is called Social Entrepreneurship, a Grassroots Revolution. Today, I'd like to address an issue of what I think is great importance: your next steps. What now, as a result of as far as you've gone through this course so far? But first, I do want to mention our MOOC web address. All the information about this course may be found at that location. We also have a Facebook page. Simply search for Social Entrepreneurship Program. And I'd like to again mention the optional book that I've written. This book covers much of the information in this course, but this book is not needed to excel in this course. So, your next steps. Number one, I ask that you please be careful. There are many opportunities out there to do good and make careers, but there are also opportunities to be unsuccessful. Not all ideas are dynamite ideas. The ideas that we have, we oftentimes think they're wonderful. They might not be as wonderful as we think they are. But an equally important point is that even dynamite ideas don't always make it. I am a person experiencing conflict right now. On the one hand, I want to encourage you. I want to say, go, go, go. Do it. You can do it. Have a good idea. Stay with it. Never give up. Realize that there will be failures along the way. Make adjustments. Succeed. You can do it. That's the positive side that I have. But, as I mentioned, I'm experiencing a conflict. On the other hand, I want you to be cautious. How do I deal with this conflict within me? How do I encourage you to be strong, but help you protect yourself? Here are some of my suggestions. Proceed carefully and slowly. Learn all you can. Fully understand the problem. Study existing successful nonprofits. Build a strong project development report. If possible, volunteer with a successful nonprofit. Have the skills to perform necessary tasks. Have income from another source when you begin. Have client and community support. Start small. Those are some of my suggestions that I ask you to maybe think about a bit before you venture off on your own. Please be very careful. Please do not hurt yourself. Many ventures are not successful enough to continue. But at the same time, the best social entrepreneurship ideas that are run strongly and well, they do succeed. So, there's a double-edged sword here. Be careful. It is possible for us to hurt ourselves financially and possibly otherwise, emotionally. But it's also possible for us to do something very special to help change the world. Your next steps, continuing. My second point is collaboration can be important. I encourage you to form a small team, maybe from 2 to 5 people, to plan and start your social entrepreneurship project. Maybe your team is your family. Now, that's just sort of a wild idea I had as I was preparing these PowerPoint slides, but that idea crossed my mind for the first time, I'm fascinated with the possibility of parents, perhaps who are inclined in a social entrepreneurship direction anyway, to maybe start some project to help a category of people in need about which they care, and involve maybe their teenage children. It's sort of an interesting way of socializing young people to this type of work, to be social entrepreneurs. Maybe your team is composed of your closest friends, or maybe your team is carefully selected based on their skills. Of course, you can be a lone wolf for a while if you want, but eventually we need to bring in others. It can be fun and meaningful to be working with others almost from the beginning. Here's some fertile ground for teams. The most fertile ground where social entrepreneurship teams might sprout. Examples would be, number one, organizations with a service component to help people in need. These, in the United States, what crosses my mind is men's and women's clubs, veterans organizations, and religious organizations. So these are service organizations. And these service organizations seem to be extremely well fit to social entrepreneurship work. They are set up to serve others. They are set up to help some categories of people in need. New members who come to the club, to these service organizations, they are either already socialized to assist others, or a part of their involvement in the club sometimes involves that socialization. And within these service organizations, there is a culture of thinking about other people, a culture of looking around and seeing what needs exist, and attempting to make some effort to reduce those problems. Of these three types of organizations in the United States, I believe religious organizations have the greatest opportunity because of the numbers of people involved. I believe that some Christian churches are incubators for social entrepreneurs. I suspect that any religious orientation can be an incubator for social entrepreneurs, as long as there is a commitment to assist people in need. I simply am not extremely familiar with other religions. My orientation has been Christian, and so that's my familiarity, and that's where my primary comments on religion will focus. But these comments might extend well beyond Christian religious organizations. But there are many Christian churches that have a very strong commitment to serving other people. And many of these churches are large, but regardless of size, what is occurring, I think, in these churches, there are many things occurring in church, but one is a socialization, to an encouragement to people, to open our eyes, to look for difficulties that other people are having, and to attempt to assist people in need. One of the things that impresses me about Christian churches, and this point could relate to other religious organizations as well, is, in fact, these points I think do, that within churches there is much talent, there is much energy, there is much commitment, and very often there are considerable financial resources. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes there to mention the fruitfulness, the potential, the great potential that it seems to me that religious organizations have to do social entrepreneurship work. The main point here is that those organizations that encourage service projects to help people in need are good places for social entrepreneurship teams to form. Still on this category of fertile ground for developing teams. The second point I'd like to make, the category of people is retired or nearly retired people. Many older people across the world are very knowledgeable and reasonably well off financially. Many of these people want to give back to their society in their later years. In fact, this point relates to me. It's been a surprise to me, but I have grown old. The years have gone by, and I find myself not young anymore. In the stage of life where I am right now, I have thought about my life. I have felt very appreciative of the good life that I have had. And I have concluded very clearly that I have taken much more than I have given. And it's very important to me. I want to give back much more before I leave this earth. So I'm just simply trying to bring myself into this point that I'm making, that older people who are already retired or maybe close to retirement, as they reflect on their lives, and they may conclude that they've had very nice lives, and they may conclude, like I have, that I've been more of a taker than I have a giver. And I still have a lot of opportunity to give. And so the point here is that people in this stage of life, I think are a very powerful force in our world. I think that there are probably many people in our world like me in that regard. Many older people volunteer, and that's a wonderful activity, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm suggesting that older people who have had successful careers might want to actually start projects to help others. This category of people is a huge world resource. As I was preparing this information, I went to the internet and just got a few recent bits of information. In the United States, approximately 13% of our population is in the age category of 65 years old and older. And that is about 40 million people. There are many nations in our world that are aging as the United States is. Europe is a good example, but some of the other nations in other parts of the world are experiencing aging, and they are experiencing increasing numbers and percents of people in the 65 and older category. 4 of those nations are China, India, Mexico, and Brazil. So my point is that there are many older people in our world. Many of them have had successful careers. They are intelligent, they have a lot of energy, and I believe they are one of our phenomenal resources for social entrepreneurship work across our world. Still looking at fertile ground for teams. Number 3, people close to starting their first career or those wanting to switch careers. I'm especially interested in young people who often have very strong social concerns. They care about people who are having difficulties and they want to help. In addition, people with careers that are unfulfilling represent another potential category of people for social entrepreneurship work. So, the summary of fertile ground locations for social entrepreneurship teams to emerge. Just quickly running through these again. Organizations that encourage service to others, older people who are retired or near retirement, and third, people who want a fulfilling career with, for me, a special focus on young people in high school, in college, people who are searching for their first career. Your next steps. I'm getting back to a listing that I started earlier. Number 3, you will need an organization through which to operate. In this kind of work, people support an organization with a social entrepreneurship project, not an individual. And so you must find an organizational home. I see two choices. Either you start an organization or you find an existing one. Of the two, the simplest will be to find an existing organization that will meet your project needs and your individual needs. Those are two important points there. This course is focused primarily on project needs, helping other people in need, building a project to help other people in need. But here I'd like to talk about your needs and my needs. All humans have needs. We want comfort. We seek a number of different things. The point I want to make right now is that there's nothing wrong with us creating a win-win situation. This course is focused on helping people in need. But the other part of that win can be us helping ourselves. There's nothing wrong with us securing a fair salary, a fair pay for the work that we're doing while we're helping others. Also, there's nothing wrong with us wanting to be respected as human beings, wanting to be viewed positively by others. And we can help attain those types of desires by doing respectable work, such as social entrepreneurship work. The main point I'm wanting to make right now is that I think it's important that if we're going to stay in this business of helping other people, I think it's important that we are also helping ourselves. Because when we are helping ourselves, that helps us continue the energy to help other people. And so I encourage us to try to help to meet some of our basic needs as we are helping other people, creating a win-win situation. If our project is a running club for men in a homeless shelter, can the homeless shelter be the organization through which we work? Keep in mind that the issue that I'm addressing right now is you finding an organizational home. And so our project might dictate what type of organization we might need. If, for that example of a running club for men in a homeless shelter, if that first homeless shelter where we might institute a running club is willing to take on a bigger project, maybe change their change their mission statement to expand it to helping other homeless shelters, maybe that homeless shelter could be the organization through which we work, if our project is that running club for men at a homeless shelter. So the point here is that it's a good thing it's much simpler if we can find another organization rather than start one ourselves. If you don't find an acceptable organizational home, or if you are hot to start your own organization, then go for it. If you do start your own organization, please be aware that these animals need care and feeding even when the newness wears off. How to register as a nonprofit corporation. I would like to briefly take a look at this. In the United States, if we are going to have a nonprofit, we must register as a nonprofit through one of the states. This can be easy, inexpensive, and fairly quick. A second step to consider is to submit an application for a classification called IRS 501c3 status. In the United States, that's the Internal Revenue Service code for, it's one of the nonprofit corporation codes. Let's quickly look at each step. And I want to emphasize the following two steps relate only to the United States. First, registering as a nonprofit in a state. I'm most familiar with my state, which is Kansas. And so when I go to the internet and key in the search phrase, Kansas not-for-profit articles of incorporation, I come up with a website by the Kansas state, the government of my state, and a form with the number CN 5102. The title on this page is Kansas Secretary of State Not-for-Profit Articles of Incorporation. And this is a two-page form. I will not go over the details of it because most of you are probably in another state if you're in the United States, and you will need to look at yours. But it's simple information, 2 pages of information. You are providing your name, address, list of the board of directors, answering a few other questions, and in the state of Kansas, the fee is only $20. So this is fairly easy, it's fairly quick. It takes, my experience has been around 30 or 40 days from the time it's submitted, and it is fairly inexpensive. So that is one option for us. Then that other option, let's see, I might have a slide related to that. I believe I do. The other option is applying for 501c3 Internal Revenue Service status. And I have given the web address for this. This might be helpful for those of you in the United States. And when in this site we find an application for recognition of exemption under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. And so here is the face page for this. This is much, the process of receiving 501c3 approval from the Internal Revenue Service takes longer, more complex, and it is more expensive. The cost at the time that I'm taping these, the cost is $750. The form, I have it here with me. I don't recall how many pages, but my recollection is around 20 pages or so. There's a lot of detail, but it's one of those things that if we just take one step at a time, we can get through it. And the wait to receive a response from the IRS typically takes a few months. So those are some issues related to the IRS status and registering as a state. Registering as a nonprofit in a state. I do want to mention 3 benefits to having IRS 501c3 status. Individual liability is limited. The contributions of donors to our nonprofit are tax-free. And many, and it's my sense that most grant funding sources require this status if they are going to consider a grant application from us for a project. Your next steps. Point number 4. Maybe we could stay in contact even after this course. I'm taping this at a time before the course has even started, and I don't even know if this MOOC will be successful. Maybe not. But if it is, there will be too many people for me to stay in contact with individually. Would you be willing to stay in contact with me, maybe through my Facebook page and or my social entrepreneurship blog? For Facebook, as you know, all you need to do is search Social Entrepreneurship Program. For my blog, it has sort of a long name. It's all one word, Social Entrepreneurship and Grants.com, and you can locate me that way. I want to thank you very much for being here, and one way or another, I would very much enjoy staying in contact. Thank you for your time today.